The Prince of Persia has ruled the hearts of gamers for decades. Starting as a platformer in 1989, it is remembered for its amazing visuals, story, and obviously, the prince. But we haven't seen any new mainline Prince of Persia games in the last 10 to 12 years. So in today's video, let's explore the complete rise and fall of the Prince of Persia series. There will be some spoilers about the story, as you will get to know the complete history of the Prince of Persia games. So make sure you stick to the end. Now, the story begins with Jordan Mechner, who was originally a psychology student. However, he had a strong passion for cartoons and animations, despite having limited drawing skills. He started creating graphics and animations using a computer. This led to the creation of his first game, Karateka. In this game, we are in Japan, trying to save Princess Mariko from the evil Akuma. In 1984, the game's graphics and animations were outstanding and it sold 500,000 copies. The publishing company, Broderbund, also benefited greatly, so they suggested to Mechner that he create another game to make more money. Thus, Mechner set out to find a new idea for a game, and that idea turned out to be Prince of Persia. He thought the first game succeeded because it had an Asian setting, so for the next game, he decided to stick with an Asian setting. At that time, he was reading 1001 Nights, which gave him the idea of a Middle Eastern setting. Moreover, everyone was a fan of the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark, so he convinced his brother David to perform some stunts, jumps, and sword moves, which were recorded for creating realistic animations. The Persian-based theme music was composed by his father, Francis. Just like Indiana Jones, the protagonist of the game, Prince, would navigate through various puzzles and traps to rescue a beautiful princess from an evil vizier, who had imprisoned her at the top of a tower. The objective was clear: rescue the princess within 60 minutes or she would die. For creating lifelike animations and high-quality graphics, the game was expected to be a hit. And indeed, in 1989, despite the competition from big games like SimCity, Super Mario Land, and Mech Warrior, this new game managed to carve its place. For this achievement, Broderbund and Mechner received numerous awards. Even Disney's 1993 movie, Aladdin, took inspiration from the game. Gamers even started speedrunning the game, so a sequel was almost guaranteed. However, the development of the next game faced a delay because Mechner took a break to learn filmmaking. When he returned, he started working on the second part. This time there was no need to focus much on graphics, as the previous game's graphics were already exceptional and had not been surpassed by other games in the past 4 years. So attention was given to cutscenes and audio. The story continued from where the first game left off, with the prince having married the princess and now ruling the kingdom. However, the evil vizier, named Jafar, uses black magic to transform the prince, creating a doppelganger. The prince's wife is deceived, and the real prince is stranded on a distant island. Now, the prince must use his magic carpet to rescue his wife and defeat the vizier. The game, titled Prince of Persia 2: The Shadow and the Flame, became one of the biggest hits in 1993, so its sequel was confirmed. But Mechner had different plans. He started working on a different game called The Last Express. This game was excellent, but Broderbund couldn't market it well. The game, being a point-and-click style during a time when 3D games were gaining popularity, resulted in a significant failure in 1997, causing the company a loss of $6 million. After this substantial loss, Broderbund distanced itself from the gaming industry. Meanwhile, Red Orb Entertainment approached Mechner with the idea of a 3D Prince of Persia game. Mechner liked the concept, and they began working on the story and design. This time, the story was not about the vizier, but focused on Prince's encounter with his brother, Asen, who betrays him. The cousin, who is half man and half tiger, becomes the antagonist, and Prince must rescue his wife from her. This time, developers used motion capture technology and added new features like health potions. The game had impressive visuals, physics, and animations. However, testing was not extensive, and due to a rushed release in 1999, the game had many bugs, which eventually resulted in poor reviews and sales. The game was also criticized for its similarity to Tomb Raider. The financial losses led to changes within the company, with TLC acquiring Broderbund, and later, Mattel acquiring TLC. The new CEO of Mattel aimed to sell off loss-making ventures, and Prince of Persia was on that list. However, Ubisoft noticed the potential. Ubisoft Montreal, then working on Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, saw an opportunity to breathe new life into the action-adventure genre through the Prince of Persia series. They purchased the publishing rights and brought the original owner, Mechner, to Ubisoft. Although Mechner was initially reluctant after the failures of the previous games, a producer named Yannis Mallet showed him some 3D animations of the prince running along walls and jumping between ladders. Impressed, Mechner agreed to work on a new game with a fresh story and gameplay. The result was the release of Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time in November 2003. This time, the prince, accompanied by his father, visits India to defeat a Maharaja. However, an evil vizier unleashes the Sands of Time, turning everyone into sand monsters. The prince, with the help of a beautiful princess named Farah, embarks on a journey to stop the vizier. In this game, the prince possesses a dagger that allows him to rewind or freeze time. The game was a massive success, winning numerous awards including Game of the Year. Ubisoft swiftly greenlit the sequel, Warrior Within. This time, the story took a darker turn as the prince faced consequences for rewinding time. A creature called Dahaka, relentless in its pursuit, is after the prince, making the game more aggressive and violent. Jordan Mechner was not fond of this dark atmosphere and extreme violence, especially for the new prince. He had started the series taking inspiration from the likes of Arabian Nights, but now the prince is beheading his enemies, which was definitely not what he wanted. However, Ubisoft insisted that gamers wanted this, and they delivered. Farah had forgotten the prince, so this time his love interest was Kailina, and her scenes required the game to have an M rating, despite Mechner's non-participation. Prince of Persia: Warrior Within was released in 2004. The game showcased a thrilling story with improved graphics, physics, and animations. It sold reasonably well while getting praised by both the critics and the fans. To close the loop on the story, the development of the third part, The Two Thrones, immediately began. This time, Mallet opted for a middle ground, making the game less dark compared to Warrior Within. The story continued with the prince and his wife, Kailina, returning to Babylon. However, the city is in flames because the events of the Sands of Time have been manipulated, leading to the return of the evil vizier. Kailina is killed, and her soul merges with the prince, giving rise to his dark alter ego. Farah also returns, and together they must defeat the vizier and destroy the Dark Prince. The game, released in 2005, received mixed responses and faced some criticism for the Dark Prince. Sales were lower than expected, but Yannis Mallet was successful in providing a satisfying ending to this epic series. In the aftermath, some spin-off games and ports like Battles of Prince of Persia and Rival Swords were released. Gameloft even remastered the original 1989 game for mobile platforms. Mechner was in talks with Hollywood to create a movie based on the game, pitching themes and characters from Sands of Time with an entirely new story. Hollywood accepted the movie, and Jake Gyllenhaal was chosen for the role of Dastan, someone who had been a fan of the game since childhood. This time, Gemma Arterton was the Princess Lady, playing the role of Tamina. Interestingly, before the movie, the prince was not given any name in the games. Director Mike Newell, known for Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, was brought in to direct. The shooting set for the game was one of the biggest productions at that time, and Disney planned to make multiple films based on it. In 2006, leaks started emerging about a new Prince of Persia game in development. Mechner and Mallet worked on this game, and in 2008, a new Prince of Persia was released, with a completely new story, setting, and prince. Despite having a beautiful art style and abundant resources, the game turned out to be a big flop as it was set in an open world where the prince could never die. In short, it didn't capture the essence of Prince of Persia. The year 2010 was approaching, the same year the movie was set to release, so Ubisoft created a game for the movie called The Forgotten Sands. It returned to the Sands of Time trilogy and tried to connect the story between Sands of Time and Warrior Within. In this game, the prince would seek his brother Malik's help to fight an army. There were significant improvements in visuals and storytelling, but the game received decent reviews and didn't sell as well. As for the movie, it faced a similar fate. It was a fun movie, but its lack of a unique storyline led to its limited success, and plans for its sequels were cancelled. After that, for 10 to 12 years, nothing significant happened in the Prince of Persia franchise. Mobile games like Prince of Persia Escape and Escape 2 were released, but the main game was absent. In 2010, an idea for a game called Prince of Persia Redemption was pitched, but was rejected. Its gameplay was leaked on YouTube 10 years later. Currently, a 2.5D platformer game titled Prince of Persia The Lost Crown is about to be released, and a remake of Sands of Time is also on the way at Ubisoft Montreal. Now the question arises, what happened to a series that had so many active games in the 1990s and 2000s, but had no major release in the 2010s? The primary issue boiled down to financial concerns. Despite being an established brand, Prince of Persia's recent games, especially Warrior Within and The Two Thrones, failed to generate substantial revenue. This made them less profitable for Ubisoft. The final blow came with Assassin's Creed. Patrice Desilets received an order to create a new Prince of Persia that would redefine the action-adventure genre. He thought that the prince shouldn't be involved in action. Logically, he should rule a kingdom after his parents, so he experimented, where you weren't the prince but worked for him, the number 2 man. After researching secret societies, he decided to focus on assassins, prevalent in Persia. This time, he made the game open world with big cities and crowds. While its name was Prince of Persia, Assassin, it was clear that it was deviating significantly. Therefore, it was turned into a new series. When the game was released with the name Assassin's Creed in 2007, Ubisoft was shocked. As a completely new game, it sold 10 to 11 million copies in its first year, while the well-established brand Prince of Persia only managed 2 to 3 million in sales. The costs for both were significant. As more Assassin's Creed games were released, it became a golden goose for Ubisoft. The focus shifted from Prince of Persia, as even its best games like Warrior Within and The Two Thrones only managed around 1 to 2 million sales each. While the official numbers are unknown, it is believed that Prince of Persia's total sales are around 20 million, while Assassin's Creed has exceeded 200 million in sales to date. So the difference is clear, and one can only hope that a new Prince of Persia game comes and performs well. What do you think about the whole Prince of Persia saga? And do comment on your favorite Prince of Persia game in the comments. To watch the complete timeline of the biggest scam in the gaming industry, click on the on-screen video. Give this one a thumbs up and subscribe for more Game Explainers.